The Monday Morning Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Esther of IPA Group, bringing premier online promotion to your business.
And Melanie of Stomp Social Media Training, who empowers business owners to manage social media and marketing for themselves. And welcome back to another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. Last week in the podcast, we were talking about marketing jargon, and today we're going to jargon it up again. Today we're talking about repurposing content. What now?
So this is where you create content and then find different ways to put it out to different platforms, different audiences, and at different times. So let's start with one process, okay? And the whole purpose of the content could be a blog. Let's say start with a blog, something written. Mm-hmm. So why would you want to repurpose content in the first place, Esther?
Well, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel. You've already spent hours, possibly, writing the blog.
Definitely with the blog.
Yeah, so you've done all the research, you have written all the words, you found all the keywords, you have put images into it, etc., etc. You have taken your precious time to make that blog. So if you only use it once, then you're missing a trick.
And, you know, even repurposing content in the form of, so you put it up on your website, I think sharing it on platforms like Missing Letter or QUU Promote is also repurposing the content because you're putting it on other platforms to be shared elsewhere.
Yeah. If you don't know what Melanie's talking about, go back through other podcasts because we have talked about these platforms before. But so what you're saying, Melanie, is that basically, okay, I write a blog post and I share it for the next 10 years, and that's me done.
Well,
why are you laughing? If it took me 10 hours to make it, I'm going to share it for 10 years, right?
Well, it has to also remain evergreen as well. And even when it does...
More jargon.
Yes. So evergreen means that it stays relevant for as long as possible. Now, it doesn't have to be forever. In fact, we were only looking at a blog a few hours ago, and it was for a certain topic, and it was written in 2019. However, it was updated in 2022. So you can go back into your old blogs, and I would highly recommend you do this, and update them to keep them evergreen, instead of, like you say, reinventing the wheel from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have our blog post. We put that blog post on our website. Mm-hmm. We then share that blog post link on all our social medias. But is there any other way of sharing things from the blog post on socials?
Well, we can take sound bites from the so sentences and relevant text and even relevant images, and we can share those into our social media stories. So that can be on Instagram, on LinkedIn, which do a format of stories these days, and onto other platforms as well, TikTok included. So although it's not giving the whole blog, it could be snapshots that can take people back to the blog. So in essence, it is repurposing.
Okay. So we don't just copy and paste the entire blog onto Facebook or LinkedIn and reshare it that way.
We can, but it would be less useful. What we're trying to do is build awareness and traction and build a rapport and a relationship. So taking people with those little snapshots, those little bits of useful information to entice and excite, then that would be a really valuable way to repurpose. But there's other ways we can repurpose as well. And one of my favorites, which is one of your absolute dreads, is video. So we can actually recreate that entire blog post. We'll have to sort of re-script it, if you like, because when you're writing a blog, you're writing one way, and when you're trying to speak to people, it's in a slightly different way. So you would turn your blog into kind of like a conversation. You could get somebody to fire questions from you that could be the headings of the blog, let's say, and then you respond by answering the questions or the headings through commentary. Or you could do, you could take literal things from a blog. So maybe you're talking about squares and circles and houses, and whatever terms you're using within the blog, you can actually then take people on location and sort of help give a visual representation of your text.
Yeah. So along those same lines, you could, if you're like me and don't like doing videos, you could create an infographic, or you could create, like on Instagram, the carousels that basically give the lowdown of the information from the blog post in different snippets or sound bites. But obviously, infographics and the carousels are less information because it's a smaller space that you're going to have. So if you want to write a 10,000 word blog post, don't recommend that. It's far too long. Maybe turn that one into an ebook. And expand on your blog post.
Absolutely. You can do a series. You can do, you can answer with one 10,000 blog post, or you can do, 10 1,000 blog posts in a series. And don't forget podcasting, like we're doing right now. So you can repurpose doing a podcast as well. I mean, we already repurpose. We repurpose with show notes. We also do written blogs as well. So there's different ways that you can repurpose. It just depends on the time that you have, the budget you have, and whether you want to do it or not, Esther.
You're still talking about video there. But it is a very important tool. I mean, it's not essential. You don't have to do it with every single post that you make or every single blog that you write. You don't have to repurpose it. But think of all the time that you spent on it. Okay, think of all the time for only that one piece of content, when there are so many other things that you can take out of it. You can take, like Melanie was saying, the snippets. You can take the headlines. You can take the if it's got a lot of like statistics and stuff, take those out, share those. If your audience is interested in the numbers and figures, give them the numbers and figures. And you can always redirect them back to the full blog post for them to read more.
And remember, if you're creating videos for Facebook, so let's say you're maybe doing a live on Facebook or doing a TikTok, you can repurpose those live videos, then download onto your phone as a recording and put them in a YouTube channel, which again is a valuable place to be found in search, is on YouTube in a Google search. And you can do tags that will help you get found in search there as well.
Yeah, and you can also, when you're doing the videos, have the subtitles and then download the subtitles and have those as extra content. And then if you're first doing the video, use the subtitles to expand on it for a blog post. Then you're not starting all over again from scratch or having to watch your video back and go, what did I say there?
And if you're like me, I also do public webinars as well as private webinars. And when you're speaking at events and that sort of stuff, and you've perhaps created a PowerPoint presentation or a presentation, doesn't have to be PowerPoint these days, does it?
No.
Then you're welcome to share it in the likes of SlideShare. It's not as easily navigable as perhaps other areas that get found in search, but it is an area where people do look up presentations and download them or view them at least. So SlideShare is another option.
Yeah, there are tons and tons of options out there. What we want to get you thinking about today is how you can take content that you've already written, content that you already have, be it video into text or text into video, how you can make more out of what you already have. Okay, so think of all the time, again, that you spent researching, that you spent writing, that you spent recording, that you spent editing, just for it to go out once.
That would be insane.
It would. And it's one of those things that, I mean, us as experienced marketers still struggle sometimes because we're going, oh, but I wrote that blog post about LinkedIn 6 years ago. Okay, just go back. I'm sure some of it, well, in LinkedIn's case, probably is still relevant today. If it was about Facebook, then you'd have to start from scratch. No, I like LinkedIn because it doesn't change as quickly as the other ones do, right? So you can learn LinkedIn and keep learning little bits at a time, whereas the other one goes, you learn Facebook and then a couple of months later go, no, that's no longer relevant. Okay, I'm exaggerating here, guys. I'm totally exaggerating. You can really just keep up with everything. But yeah, depending on the topic, you might not have to change too much, even if you wrote it 5-10 years ago. Okay, go back through what you already have and find ways to do that. I know it's something I'll be doing over the holidays.
Is that really what you're going to be doing over the holidays?
No, but it's something that it's on my list of things to do. And if I get a bit of time over the holidays, then I might, while the kids are playing with the Christmas presents.
Do you know what I try to do actually over the holidays? Is I go over, not just look at my text of my past blogs, but I also change the image, because if I'm using a platform like QUU Promote or Missing Letter, or indeed any other like Post Planner, that's another one that you can recycle, as well as Agora Pulse, you can recycle content, is people think, oh, well, I've seen that picture, I've seen that picture, I've seen that picture, so I've obviously read it. Whereas if you change the actual featured image on the blog, people go, oh, I haven't seen this before. And then they open it and they've either never, ever read the blog or they can't remember reading it. And it actually encourages people to come back to your website. So I periodically, normally it's during the Christmas break, I go through and change my featured image on my website. And it just gives it a refresh.
Yeah. And it does too, because some images get used so often, especially if they're free images. So if you can find one that even has very little to do with what the topic actually is, it can draw attention in as well.
Oh, create one yourself. I mean, we've all got the resources to do it these days. So
exactly. Canva has come a long way.
Or photos. Take photos of your own office, of your own location, and it helps people feel that little bit closer to you.
That's very true as well. So, guys, we hope that you take some of this information. You don't have to take it all, and find ways to repurpose. We'd love to know what it is that you're going to do with your old content, and keep us tagged in everything that you're doing.
Awesome.
All right, so that's it for another week, guys. We'll be back next week with more Monday Morning Marketing. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Yeah, sometimes I feel like Is it just me?
Just you, because anybody outside the UK will not know what rainbow is. Or under a certain age either.
Oh my God, I'm so old.